Hi, this is Cheryl and Tracy with Rock Life, and we are here for part 2 of our interview with Lauri from the Rasmus. And we're very excited he has his guitar with him, so he can play us some songs. Do you have a favorite song or favorite songs that you like to do? Or are there any that you just say, oh, I just
like from
can't. Yeah, from you when you're playing. Like, I know a lot of bands say, oh, we just hate this song, we don't like playing it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of songs we didn't like to play or I didn't want to play, but then like when time passes, then you're kind of like, oh, we can play that song.
You're not so tired of it.
No, and it's like there's nothing we should be ashamed of. You know, it's all part of our history, and you know, like we have this song called Falling. It's called Falling,
yeah.
And then I sing like something like, I don't go to school every Monday, blah blah blah, you know, and I'm like, oh, I haven't gone to school in like fucking 100 years. It's like, I don't want to sing that song, and now actually I do want to sing it again, like, because I understand, like, you know, we all went to school, ways, you know, and some people still go to school, you know, we have younger fans, so why not? I mean, it's just part of the history, and one thing led to another, and like all these little pieces and even the mistakes they're part of the journey, and it's gone well enough, you know.
Right.
No
Do you have a
what.
favorite?
I do have a favorite song. It's called Immortal. I think we're gonna play it tonight too. It's like from 2005 or something, and that song that just has like different things in it, like it's like beautiful but hard, and like I think it's just a good live song, so
right.
I enjoyed playing that.
Some songs are better live.
Yeah, for sure.
They just lend themselves
Yeah,
better.
it's not a single type of song, anything like that. I'm not that famous or popular either, but for me it's a good song.
But I was gonna say, and too, especially on like a tour like this, like you have like In the Shadows and Falling, like those are two songs that made it into the U.S. that really did kind of cross over and people knew them. So that's the songs they know, that's what they want to sing too. You know, they want to see that. So I mean, sometimes I think a lot of bands don't want to do that, but I mean, with your fans, the fans, you know, there's those connections with those certain songs.
Yeah, we've noticed that most of the fans here, they enjoyed, or we see a reaction in the crowd when we play something from the album Dead Letters.
Yeah.
You know, that came 2003, and it's biggest album we've had in the States, because also around that time we had some action here, so it's like you see the reaction in the crowd, but also now, you know, like now we announced this tour, I think there's been a lot of like buzz, like all the fans like, oh my god, they're coming back, and they call their friends and text like, oh, do you know, like these guys are still playing, and then like it's been wonderful to see that, you know, like reactivating a lot of those people, because I think we sold like, you know, 150,000 copies of that album back then, which is all, you know, a hell of a lot in some way. So, and then now like people are just like having this kind of nostalgic feelings, and they're coming to the shows. Plus also I think we've made a lot of new fans here, which is always nice, that, you know, the reaction when you go in the audience, like someone comes to say like, hey, I actually came to see the other band, but you were awesome. Like, I'm gonna go home and listen to your stuff now.
I think you're gonna get that a lot. You're gonna get that a lot, I think.
I hope so.
And now you guys have the new album coming, but you know, what's kind of the vibe? How do you guys keep things interesting? You know, being 30 years into a career that. You know.
Yeah, that's important to do. Like, keep it interesting for yourself. Like the first thing. I want to be that selfish artist. You know, like I just want to be happy, and I want the band to be happy about what we're doing, whatever we're doing, something. Because it shows. If you're not, if you have to do something, and if you have to be something, or, you know, if you have this burden that you have to carry on your, you know, image forever, and you just don't feel like it, or if you want to have a break and do something else, you just have to do it. Especially if it's like a lifetime journey like this is for us, you know. I don't think I'm gonna play in another band in my life again. And so I just want to do what feels right. And this time I've been listening maybe more like a heavier, harder music myself, and that's kind of influenced this album too. You know, like I've sort of discovered this harder metal rock music again, which I used to listen more when I was younger. You know, like even before we put the band together, we were listening to Slayer, and we had a mini ramp. We would go skateboarding all the time and had Slayer playing and like hard shit. But you know, like it's been like hidden there, but now it's sort of like bringing back those like heavier elements to our music. It feels really nice because I also think that it has a nice match with our melodies. You know, we tend to do this kind of beautiful Slavic, you know, Northern European, whatever melodies, and then when you combine it to the harder production, it's a good match.
Do you enjoy doing the music videos? 'Cause you used to have a lot. You have a lot of really, really great ones that I still go back and watch. That
I
fun.
love making music videos. Like, it was, especially back in the days, it was like, you know, you would actually have like quite big budgets because you would have MTV and, you know, VH1 and like in Europe a lot of like big channels that would play the videos, and that's how you kind of paid for the videos in the end. But then those quit, and now it's almost like only like social media.
Yeah.
So still, I think we are one of those bands who always want to make videos, and we're gonna have a lot of videos from this upcoming album, like a lot. And I love that because that is adding so much to the music when you can put the visual world together in this package, and like it's really wonderful. And I've always been a very visual person too. I always thought that it's very important way to express yourself is the way you look, you know, like whatever freaking feathers you put in your hair, it's just like, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. And then I just want to show it, and I want to give an example for the people out there. Just like, be yourselves and don't give a shit about what people might think and say about you. And you know, through all my whole life, I've always been mocked, and like people have like trying to put me down, and like, but I've always somehow had a very thick skin.
Yeah.
In that way, that I always thought it's like I actually get the opposite. Instead of like
giving up, you're gonna go like, harder.
Makes me stronger. So it's just like I think it's a little bit like a anarchistic way of thinking. Like, piss off, you know. Like.
But you do know most of that comes from a place of jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, a lot of people.
Jealousy,
they're jealous, and that
also like fear too, like how people can't tolerate different.
Yeah.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
And that is like when you don't know about something, you might just want to hate it first,
Right.
Yeah.
and then before you even want to try to understand it. Or,
Right.
So,
You have all these negative feelings before, you know. So.
Yeah.
But I think showing you can rise past that's something that's an inspiration for people too. So I mean, you're helping people just by being yourself, really. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And then older I get, you know, even more. I think, like at some point in your life, people are, oh, now I have to finally start being an adult, and I have to start behaving, and
never
then I'm like, you know.
Don't ever grow up then.
Yeah, I want to be an
Because.
example that, you know, do what you want to do, and like, don't give a shit.
Well, another thing I've always really loved about the Rasmus and the other Finnish bands is that you all do a lot of collaborating, which is always kind of fun. You did the Bittersweet song with Apocalyptica and Villavallo,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of loved that song. And then you did with Annette Olson. That
Yeah.
was great. The April and October, and I think you have done more collaborations with Apocalyptica
Yes.
than just one. You've done a few.
Yeah, I've known Apocalyptica guys for like my whole life. I think they started pretty much the same time
Right.
as we did, and I always remember there was a moment we both had our first chance to play on a talk show on a national
Okay.
TV in Finland, and we were in the same show with them, and remember being so nervous about it.
Right.
And yeah, we are good friends with these guys, and I love their concept with the cellos, you know.
Oh yeah.
And it's so kind of flexible because they can bring in singers,
Yeah.
and it's a really cool thing they've created. So yeah, I've done like 3 songs with them or something, and they've been on our album too, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So yeah,
So
But I was gonna
that's
say, we've interviewed a number of the bands that's come through, and every time it was kind of funny because that was one of our questions every time they came through was, when are we going to get like a finished package of some of these bands, and when are we going to get the Rasmus back over here? And they always laugh and they're like, we want to have some of these bands tour together because they all kind of come here, you know, randomly by
I know.
themselves. But
That's
yeah.
something we've talked about like
Right.
for years and years.
Yeah.
We've done tours with him and some other bands. Like we did like a huge tour in Russia
Yeah.
back in the day, and that was
Yeah.
really successful. And also we've been playing with him back in the days in Europe and Scandinavia.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard to get all the schedules together. It's like insane because the bands have their release dates and they want to build
Yeah.
their momentums, and they
Right.
have their separate companies, and
Everything
it's
aligned,
so
yeah.
difficult. And one band is on a break when the other one is releasing, and so. But I think it's still a lot in the talks that, you know, like I see you wearing him shirt,
yeah.
and I hope that, you know, we could come here with Villavallo to play.
Yeah.
You know, next time he's ready. you
Yeah.
know.
Right,
He's
yeah.
on a break now, but
Yeah.
writing songs. But you know, like
That would be
a good
amazing.
match, and
Yeah.
you know, so. And now also we're gonna release a song on the 16th next week or this week. I don't know what day it is, but we have a singer from Blind Channel,
oh
a
wow.
Finnish
Okay.
band. Nico is featuring on the new song "Break These Chains." And also, it's really,
Nice.
really
That'll
good.
be good. That'll be good. So now you yourself have lived here now for a few years. So, and you're going back. You're going to notice the climate change? I'm sure.
Yeah, I basically have moved already, so all my stuff from Miami has been shipped to Finland.
Right.
It takes about like 7 weeks to get there.
That's
And,
going to be an adjustment to go from living in such a cold climate to a warm one, and then now
Yeah.
back.
I know, I've lived like the last 11 years. I've lived in LA, Hawaii, and Miami. So all like sunshine
Warm.
and palm trees. So I'm going back to Finland now. So, but I know what to expect.
True.
That's
True.
like the easy thing. When I
Yeah.
moved here in the States, I was like, oh, how everything works. You know, it is such big like a cultural
Yeah.
shock because like you need to learn everything, like, you know, it's just like, you know, everyday stuff.
Yeah, it's very.
Insurances, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, like, this kind of stuff. And like, I actually hate that. I'm really bad at that. Like, I know how to write songs, but when I go back to Finland, it's easy because for me, it's like, I just know how
Yeah.
everything works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and in Finland, everything's so small, and so like if I want to call someone, even I can fucking reach the president. I can
Yeah.
just find his
Yeah.
number and
Right,
call him.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, like
That's interesting.
It's interesting because here, you know, like everything is big. You have
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of people, and so if you call the, you know, tax office or whatever,
Yeah.
you're like, it's gonna
Takes
take
forever
you
to,
like
like, yeah.
3
You
hours
never
to
get-
call.
Yep.
So I'm kind of happy to go back to that society. It works so well. Everything is like superb in Finland. You pay a little bit more taxes, but again, you get a lot more like
like national
and-
health care and
healthcare,
all those
schools,
things.
you know, like everything like that, and just how things work. But I understand it's easier when it's only 5.5 million people.
Right.
You know, like to have everything in control and like. But it's the base is kind of different. Like how everything is, you know.
But everyone in the band still lives there. They didn't move.
Yeah. Also, you know, the
Yeah.
band lives
Yeah, that'll
there.
make it
I want to be
easier.
close to
Yeah.
my band and my family. You know, I have an older son who's lived in Finland for
Right.
you know for a longer time now with his mom, and you know I want to be close
Yeah,
to
you'll
him.
have that,
That's,
yeah.
You know, like my parents are getting older. They're like 75, 76.
Right.
something. You know, I want to be
It's-
there. I have a big sister.
Yeah.
She's very like an important person
Right.
in my life, always
Right.
been, and you know, so it feels good to go back there.
Yeah.
And I still have the U.S. passport too.
Yeah.
So maybe one day, you know, I come back here.
Yeah.
Sure.
After 4 years.
Sure. Well, maybe your family will. You have younger kids too, right?
Yeah.
They might be like, we want to go.
Yeah. Well, no. Like I have 2 young kids who were born here,
Right.
and also, you know. I was just talking to them today, and they're in Finland, and they spoke English, and I was like, "Hey, come on, you can
Yeah.
te osaatte puhua suomea, nyt, come on." Nyt ollaan Suomessa. And it's so funny, but they're excited to be. I think for them it just always felt like home. Like I asked my son,
Yeah.
who's 7, like, which one is home?
Okay.
US or
Right.
Finland. Finland.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No doubt, he said that. And he's lived here all his life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
But that's where your base is, your whole
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
everything, grandparents. I mean,
Yeah, I think that is
I
the
think
reason, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and it's definitely, when you get older and you start realizing that your parents are not young anymore, you really do want to spend that time with them,
Yeah.
because they're not here forever,
I
and
know.
that's tough.
yeah.
So while they're, I assume hopefully good health, go back and spend, get to spend time with them and your sister, and yeah. I believe I read somewhere that your sister was the person that actually was one of the first people to recognize your voice.
Yeah.
I think you said that once in an interview.
She's been always introducing me to new music, ever since I was 10 years old. She would always listen to this, and first I would hate it because she was my big sister, and then I kind of like this, and I slowly getting into it, and she was, she played piano, and I started playing piano when I was 5, and I was kind of walking her footsteps in that way. And she went to this music class, and then I got there later, and she went to the music college too.
Right. Okay.
And then I was like, I gotta get there too, and I was really working hard at school to get good grades to get in.
Yeah.
And I never finished it, but I got in, and that was kind of one of my goals.
Right.
When I was younger, because they had really good music education.
Right,
And,
right.
All the good musicians were in that school.
Yeah.
And that was,
Okay.
a thing. And yeah. But my sister also, she was the one who said I should not only play guitar in the band, I should start singing. And then I tried, and then the guitar.
Well, you're very good at it.
It worked out.
30 years later, right?
Yeah, I'm glad I listened to her.
Right. Nobody knows you better than your sister,
And I guess
right?
just for people that are coming out tonight and for this tour, what can they expect from these headlining sets?
What can we expect?
Yeah.
Well, at least we get to play a little bit longer now.
Yeah.
And we have tried to pick songs that are kind of from the whole catalog,
So people will recognize.
Yes.
Whether you're a new fan or old fan, you'll recognize
yes,
some songs.
Yeah, it depends. Like some of the songs, I don't know if they're not that famous over here, but we just thought like we just picked these songs this time. I mean, it's just like we have pretty many albums. This
Yeah.
is the 11th album now we're working on,
Right.
so there's a lot of songs to choose from.
And I think a lot of people that follow you do know the newer music too. You know, that they're not just listening to, the couple of albums maybe that you had
Yeah, I think.
out here. I mean, I think.
Yeah, and now like recently when we just about like 4 weeks ago announced this tour, we've seen a lot of action on the socials and like
Right.
even Spotify has like
Yeah.
skyrocketed. Like
Right.
people have, because of the new songs, they're like they are being reminded about us, and then they go and listen to.
They go down,
This song.
yeah.
Oh, I remember
Start-
I
yeah.
was 16. Woo.
I always have to ask this question. I love to ask this question at interviews. If there was anybody that you could work with, dead or alive, musician, who would it be?
Björk.
Okay.
That would be.
Yeah.
She would be.
I could see it. Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah.
That could happen.
I almost once talked to her, but I was too scared. So I just walked by.
Oh, that's funny. Even you being a musician, you saw her and you were like, no.
But she's like a out of this world goddess, something like a non-human. So
Right, right.
It's too scary.
That would, maybe she'll see this interview and she'll call you up. You never know, right?
And then I guess just wrapping it up, like you said, you got the album coming out. What do you want to tell people? Just for the rest of the year, what's kind of the plan? And
Well, for the people in the States, I'm sorry we haven't come here more often. We try to make it up to you guys. I know a lot of you have been waiting, but so have we. It's been 16 years since the last time we played here, and now we have some good plans to come here a lot more often. And we have a new U.S. record label and a new agent, so kind of have all the pieces together to do something more.
That's
in this-
amazing.
in this market. So that makes me super happy.
Well, we are definitely happy to hear that the Rasmus is going to be coming more often.
yes.
And that means that we'll have a part 2 of our interview, a whole part 2.
Let's do it.
We'll, and tomorrow night you're in Chicago, so that'll be fun. Chicago's a really fun city.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we were actually considering going to the Chicago show before you added this one on. So
A little closer, definitely for us.
yes, a little closer to
Yeah.
come to this one. So I have an extra ticket. My son lives in Chicago. I told him I'll give it to you. You need to go see the Rasmus tomorrow night. Got to get all your friends. Go see the Rasmus.
I can put his friends on the guest list too.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Just
I
tell
will.
them.
I'll have to tell him that.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So we have thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, and we thank you for talking to us, and
Can't wait to see the set.
can't wait to see the show. Right?
Okay.
All right.